I seem to have the same saying that, oh, look, we're going live. We need to double check. But tonight, we really need to make sure we're live. As a matter of fact, can you hear me okay? I don't even know if my audio's good.
I can hear you loud and clear, and I just got a notification popped up that says we are live. And I see our little number counter starting to jump up. I
Wow.
see numbers, 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 numbers.
It's like one of those deals where you're still in high school or whatever, junior high. You know you've got a test coming, and you don't get completely prepared for it, but you know the test is coming every week, and, well, you just show up and hope for the best.
Well, that is definitely the case this week,
Yes, it is.
but we both graduated, so I think our public school education did us well.
Well, I guess that remains to be seen, but so let me warn everybody that's watching. And look, I didn't even get an event post or anything ready for today, nothing like that. So we're completely winging it, which is kind of our normal anyway. So, hey, David Johnson and David Crocker, we appreciate y'all watching. Just so everybody knows, I'm also in the process of exporting out a video while we're live. So if the whole system crashes and we go off the air, well, we'll be back in a few minutes. Just watch your notifications. There's no telling what's going to happen tonight.
And it is a video that is pertinent to tonight's show. So, we were working and Rex has been slaving on it, but it took a little bit of work. So,
Yeah, we're flying in by the seat of our pants, literally hot off the pixel presses tonight. But anyway, all right, so I've only got two topics here. We're going to talk some more about this nano-filtration business, and then, assuming nothing crashes and the video gets exported here in the next 5 or 10 minutes, we're going to have the Renee Hall extended version. And I assure y'all that y'all are going to want to hear some of this, because she talks pretty directly and pretty bluntly about the Cypress District. And as a matter of fact, there's a couple other Cypress District topics we may want to talk about tonight, like the beach and the park and what is or isn't going on out there.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Hey, did you know that the mafia is still alive and well in Bossier?
So you're saying like Sopranos type mafia deal, or what is it?
Well, I'm just telling you that intimidating, fierce look. That mafia
Whole
look.
suit, shades.
Yeah, that thing. Remember? I
Yeah,
mean, that piercing thing. I mean,
yeah.
there was a sighting in Bossier. We're
Really?
gonna go there. We're gonna have to go there.
Hmm.
Gotta show this one.
Lots of things that I'm apparently not aware of this week. We got about 20 something people logged on so far. Again, we appreciate everybody. We hopefully are broadcasting on Bossier Watch, Louisiana Watch, and the Bossier Watch YouTube channel live. So y'all get your questions ready. We got some topics, and we're gonna kind of wing it as usual. All right.
Yeah, even some national issues. So all of y'all, get your keystrokes ready. We want you to chime in on this show. And hey, if you want to call in on this show, we'll send you the number. Let's, Rex. We said we were going to have a show where we were going to have people that were watching the show, like call in the show and have some dialogue.
Yeah,
I mean, look, let's do it tonight.
we can
Let's have somebody do it.
we can do that. Hopefully the software is going to play nicely, because among the other things, I upgraded my Mac today, and well, anyway, we'll see if it works. All right, let's go ahead and do our countdown. Hopefully that'll give my video time to finish. We'll be able to share this out. Folks, get your popcorn ready. Go get your favorite drink. You got about 2.5, 3 minutes. We're going to be back. You don't want to miss this, because Renee Hall is going to pretty much slam the Cypress District. Not that we hadn't done that already, too, but that's coming up, among other things.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. Okay, we will be back, folks. 2.5 or, well, maybe 3 minutes. brought to you by Eagle Truck Center, soaring to new heights. The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 23 years in the mortgage business. SmarterGeek, making technology easier. And the many supporters, donations, and folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. Here we go with the information sharers.
Well, so I'm wondering, how long do you think it will be before some of the Bossier Mafia gets the Joe Biden disinformation czar Nina Jankowicz on us? I'm wondering.
Wait a minute. Oh, disinformation czar. Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard about that official office or whatever.
that girl doing all that yapping, singing and all that stuff or whatever. I mean, I'm not surprised that she now has a government job. No, I'm not surprised at all. But what does everybody think? Do they think that's a good thing that we have a disinformation czar?
Well, I think it's an interesting thing that the disinformation czar, or the people defining disinformation, are the government.
That's an interesting thing. In fact, the people that say we're fake news and the same as CNN happen to be people from government, elected officials.
Kind of interesting. Hey, now I know I hadn't spiked my iced tea yet, so you might want to check your camera. You're a little out of focus there, Mr. Lowry.
Oh, let's see here. See the scars in my hand?
Crawfish scars. Ah, there you go. Much better. Little more crisper. So tell us about the situation with the crawfish this year. Good, bad, indifferent?
I don't know. It's horrible. I've got a bad year so far. I mean, so this is probably going to be more information than most people would care to know, but I had big expectations for crawfish this year, in which, not getting back into it full steam like I did in years past, just, a little small 20-acre field. And anyway, we had it flooded up. We go to run it this weekend, and we only caught 2.5 sacks. Well, that's no good. In this field before, I've caught upwards of 100 sacks just out of this same field, same time of year, like right now. So anyway, trying to figure, I know I've got a couple of problems, predation from hogs and coons and cranes and all that, but that comes from water being low. But I didn't lose water until the hogs started rooting around my water control structure and caused it to start leaking.
Oops.
So I had to burn a couple of 100 gallons of diesel to get the water level pulled back up. And anyway, 2.5 sacks of crawfish. So still, though, it should have been more than that. I don't know if disease. There were a lot of fields across the whole state, which is part of why prices of crawfish are a little bit higher. There's a lot of fields in South Louisiana that, believe it or not, crawfish gets the disease just like anybody else, and it decreased production rates. I don't know if that's the case. I'm still trying to figure it out, but it ain't looking good for me. In fact, I'm probably not going to run again and just leave the field alone and the crawfish that are in there as seed for next year.
See there, folks, you're getting not only politics, but lessons in crawfish raising. Where else can you get that on a live show around our area?
Yeah, no kidding. If you want to know about crawfish, I can tell you.
Let me get a couple of...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, well, let me get a couple of comments out of the way. So our good friend, future mayor Jeremy Gallman says, hello, fellas. I know good friend David Johnson reminds us to come on down tomorrow. That would be Wednesday for the Sobo lunch that... who puts that on? Is it Shane and Dennis Bamberg put on that South Bossier luncheon generally? I think that's down there at the, what is it called, the Bel Air South Complex.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, anyway, so, I think they're going to have, well, I'm not really sure who they're going to have for the speakers, but it should be interesting. Maybe they'll have some city councilmen speak.
I think I might have done stepped in it there. The wife has done. She learned a little information right then that she may not have been ready to hear just yet.
Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good. Let me look up and see who they're supposed to have speak. So, I think this is the correct one. This is the notification from last week for May the 11th for tomorrow. Anyway, it's going to be catered by the cafe at Bel Air South. Lunch is $10 a person. If your business would like to take care of it next month, let them know. Anyway, special guest this month will be Bossier City Councilman Brian Hammonds and Chris Smith, two amigos. I've upgraded their status to both amigos, as well as the president of the Bossier Parish Police Jury, Tom Salzer. That could be an interesting luncheon meeting.
That could be. I wonder if they'll talk about the Jimmy Davis Bridge. There's been some things happening on the Jimmy Davis Bridge front. I don't know how far down that road we want to go. I wonder if anybody watching, do y'all know what's going on with the Jimmy Davis Bridge?
Look, I again just want to reiterate our thanks and support to Mayor Tommy Chandler for getting Billy Nungesser's office to fully fund and support that linear bridge, as per Lisa Johnson from the Bossier Chamber of Commerce. This is just phenomenal.
Well, not fully though. I mean, we got to pick up the trash. Remember?
Oh well, okay, but that's not so bad. A few trash bags, a few trash people to go out there. That's a pretty good deal, I think.
And don't forget, we negotiated bungee jumping. Remember that bungee jumping was in, it was out, and then we negotiated the bungee jumping back in.
Yeah, and I'm definitely in on the bungee jumping. Absolutely.
Oh, me too.
I said absolutely for the first time tonight.
You can be in front of me, but I'm right behind you. You're number one, I'm number two for the bungee jumping.
Okay, so now that we've rambled on for a little bit, let's get into actually talking about something important. I'm going to pull up the notes here, and since you did your usual deal of figuring out something for us to talk about at the last minute, guide me through this. What do we want to talk about first? Are we going to look at the mafia guy and some shades?
Yeah, well, I want to point out, the mafia sighting in South Bossier. I mean, it's actually somebody off our show.
Really?
There's somebody that watches and comments on our show all the time, and I'm talking about they were front and center, all dressed up and spiffy.
Wow!
And look at there.
Wow! Look at that.
If I didn't
no
know
motor
any
vehicles
better,
either, so they must have walked out there.
Walked out there, and they had a little ribbon cutting. They extended the parkway. Did put some more blacktop down for people to bike and run down.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, I think we took the kids out to the parkway once upon a time when they were younger, but I haven't really utilized the parkway, but I do see a lot of people walking and bicycling and I guess skateboarding too. I guess they let skateboards on there anyway, so I guess that's nice.
Well, you got, Tom Salzer there, and you got Butch Ford, the parish engineer. I think back there in the back, that might be former or retired Judge Cecil Campbell. I can't tell. And right here closest to us, that may be Bob Brotherton. But, yeah, they were ribbon cutting some extension onto the jogging trails and all that. And, before you know it, David Jones there, all dressed up and spiffy, looking like one of those mob guys. He may, the Don, he may be going to get that linear bridge funded. I don't know.
Go ahead, David. Some Red River Waterway Commission funding. How about that? We'll just help y'all spend our tax dollars.
That's what I'm talking about. He
So
will be throwing rocks at us probably sooner rather than later.
yeah, and so just kind of reading the police jury's post real quick, Red River Waterway Commission member David Jones, in the sports coat, talks about the new multi-use trail, while police jury members Bob Brotherton, Mac Plummer, Tom Salzer, Doug Rimmer, and Butch Ford listen in. So what did they, I guess, what did they extend that thing down there to Parkway High School or something? Or you been down there and know anything about it or anything?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be from the Jimmy Davis Bridge down to the park, or to Parkway High School is
Right.
the extension that they did. But it's probably pretty nice. Julie Ferris says, yeah, that it was.
Good.
And I think so. Does everybody remember? I think we can move on to Bossier City proper. And you want to go ahead and hit the nano filtration?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to put a couple of comments up. So Julie Ferris, of course, said yes. She says the track team uses it. Jeremy Gallman says ends at Parkway High School. And David Johnson says Parkway to Boardwalk. And then again, Julie says best sidewalk in Soho. So North Bossier gets all the construction. South Bossier, at least you got a good sidewalk. Not a sidewalk to nowhere. This one actually goes somewhere.
Yeah, so last week, Rex, you remember we covered it. There was a lot of hot topics going on. You had and Chris Smith and Hammonds, Hambone was
Mm-hmm.
all on top of uh, trying to hold on to those pennies. They weren't wanting to spend that money,
Right.
and it seemed like everybody else was all fired up about spending that money.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, it just seems to be that Manshak's at the heart of all the spending, always.
Mm-hmm.
And Manshak was trying to, remember I'm talking about nano-filtration, and I can't remember the exact year. Maybe it was 2016, 17, 18, somewhere around in there. Remember we got the brain-eating amoeba, and so, you know, having a really good water system wasn't good enough. We had an amoeba. We got to start chasing something better than anybody else has got, and
Right.
that being nano-filtration.
Right.
So Manshak was back at the council meeting looking to get more money to extend the study of nanofiltration and better filters to the
Oh.
tune of $400,000.
That's all.
So, you know, we showed some of that stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
we went through that meeting pretty thoroughly.
yeah, and there were some good questions that were being posed, specifically, like Chris Smith, for example, he was saying, because they were talking about using some of, the American Recovery money or what have you. Should we put it into uh, pipes in the ground, or should we put it into processing? What should we do? Or is this the best thing to do, spending it studying on whether better filtration? Well, as you recall, we also showed an article where Aaron Brockovich, the world-renowned, person on water and people getting poisoned and stuff, and they had determined that, hey, Bossier had a pretty advanced system, and you just needed to use it more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they were talking about nanofiltration, maybe they weren't. We're going to try to get something from them, but interestingly, something came across my desk today that got shot to me and told me something we ought to look at. And we needed to go to the Louisiana Department of Health. And so, bam,
Bam. There we
we
are.
go we go to the Louisiana Department of Health, and specifically we were kind of directed to look at this loan program.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there's this loan program where cities can get these. I don't think it's a grant. I mean, it's basically a loan. I'm sure that the money originates from the federal government in some way, and that that you get these loans to improve your water systems and to make them better, right?
Right.
So there's the details about applying for it and how to get your name on the list. Well, they also have in there a link of all of the applications, and incidentally, one of those links goes to, I think it's right, hang on, just hold up. It wasn't one of those, I guess. I thought it was, but it's not one of those links.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's got the most recent and most up to date or city governments or local governments that have applications submitted right there.
Yeah.
It's got a list of all the applicants.
All right. Let me see if I can zoom that in a little bit. If not, I may bring it up in another deal, but let's see if I can kind of make this work. Oops, not quite that much. All right. So, and folks, for those of you that are not watching, that are just listening, so this is the DWRLF comprehensive list of applicants for this loan program. And let me guess, Duke, am I looking for anything in particular in this loan document?
Well, there's a couple of points that I want to point out on this particular document. I mean, and you're right there on the very last page, and the very last city in that list is the city of Bossier City.
Imagine that.
$30 million.
But the million. Question,
yeah, now Bossier borrows money. That's not no big deal. You know, and 30 million, I mean, okay, they got projects that are like that. But what specifically was this $30 million loan for?
Well, shall I read the project description?
Well, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to zoom in just a touch more. Let me scroll over a little more so maybe y'all can see it, but I'm going to read it. Here we go. Project description for the city of Bossier. Construction involves the addition of 20 MGD nano-filtration system, including equipment, building, piping, wet well, piling, site work, and miscellaneous items needed for a complete and operable NF nanofiltration system. And even more interesting, look at this. There's an estimated date to close the loan. And what? Am I seeing things? Is that May the 23rd?
It's May the 23rd. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say that doesn't say what year.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you'll zoom back off of that document, in the very lower left-hand corner of that document, there's something else interesting. A couple of little numbers in the very lower left-hand corner.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard for everybody to see. Let me see if I can get down there. Probably not. But anyway, in the lower left-hand corner, the footer of the document, there's a date, and it says 5/4 of 2022.
Yeah, now the best I can glean is that this document has been updated as of 5/4/2022. It had been amended or updated or what have you. And incidentally, if you go back to the cities there, and they are in numerical order, they are ranked and they're placed in a numerical order. Like in the center there, you see two columns with numbers in it.
Right.
And they're given a number of points, and then they're given a number of their order and ranking. I think that because some of them, their rank numbers, they're all numerically in order there, 1 to 40. Bossier City has the number 40 there, but some of them have more points than others. That's not consistent.
Right.
So I believe that the city of Bossier's application here, or for this loan, was made recently, and I don't know it for a fact. I tried to call them to get clarification, and they'd already left for the day. And I think that possibly this application was made maybe on May the 4th. Now what's significant about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think back to not too long ago, as a matter of fact, about 1 week ago today, and I'm trying to remember what all was talked about in that city council meeting with Ben Ruttenbuck or Rauschenbach, whatever, and a lot of it was around nanofiltration, but I don't think that they were ready to start construction or anything, were they? At least
no. I thought we were still studying. There was no commitment at all to. Now, I gotta be completely honest here. Now, a lot of things just didn't make sense on this. Mm-hmm. So, why would we have an application on file for constructing a nanofiltration project, and we're in the public here, we're still at the council meetings, all we're doing is studying. That's all we're talking about.
Well, maybe they wanted to just kind of get their ducks in a row, so to speak, and, have the loan application in and ready and all of that, so that if their study was completed and the nanofiltration system was going to be given the green light, well, they'd have the money right there. They could get started quickly.
Yeah, it would almost like be already approved. So I reached
Hmm.
out to a councilman
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to kind of get clarification. I said, because I'm pretty sure before any debts or things can, loans or, you know, any of that crap can be done on behalf of a city government, I think your council, your government has to vote and approve that. So I reached out to a
Yeah.
councilman.
Yeah, I thought that's how it worked.
I thought too, and I asked. I said, "Did has the city of Bossier taken out a loan for $30 million, or is seeking or applied to get a loan for $30 million for nano-filtration?" And I was promptly told no. And so then I shared with the councilman that information and uh, what we just showed you. And then a little while later, they got back to me, and here's what they said.
Mm-hmm.
They said that's a revolving loan fund. This is a list of cities that have projects ongoing which may need money. We're not committed to anything until the pilot study is complete. We know nothing. We're not even contemplating a loan at this point. So
Hmm. They better
if we're not,
contemplate it quick if it's supposed to close on the 23rd.
well, I got another question. If we're not contemplating a loan, who put the application into LDH?
Somebody had to contemplate, we want to look at getting a $30 million loan. Let's put in an application. Somebody had to do it. And granted,
Well,
we don't know whose signature is on what yet.
and nanofiltration. How did LDH since last week just suddenly poof? They had an epiphany. Oh, you know what? I think Motor City's going to have wants to do nanofiltration. Let's put them on the list for a loan.
Well, maybe they were watching our show last week and the LDH heard us talking about the city council meeting where they were talking about just beginning to study the possibilities of using nanofiltration, and that's when they had their epiphany.
Now I got to tell you, Rex. I mean, I've been trying to figure this thing out because if I understand this thing, and look, again, I will profess that I am a Rhodes Scholar of Stupidville. I am not the sharpest tool in the shed. I acknowledge that. Okay, so for all you haters out there, you heard me say it. But what I will tell you is if my understanding is correctly, that we currently can filter or process our water to a 92% rate, effective rate, and the application of nanofiltration would get us to a 98%. I tell you, I got to question whether or not, I mean, if at 92 we're above the majority of all people, producing water already. I mean, yeah, you want perfect, but maybe going to nanofiltration is not the way to go. And I mean, I get it. We had the brain eating amoeba. Uh, that's the only time I know of that it's really happened in Bossier. Does
Well,
does
maybe, but nano sounds so good. I mean, it's just such a cool term that we're going to have nanofiltration. So maybe they're thinking ahead. Maybe they're thinking if we do go to nanofiltration and we're able to implement this and we're able to figure out why the manganese problem is an issue and sort all of that out, they'll be ahead of the curve and ahead of everybody else. And no more
well
brain
is
eating amoebas.
is that it?
I don't know.
Is that it? I got a question though. I got another question. I've been thinking about it. I just can't wrap my head around it, and I'm wondering if everybody's watching. Maybe y'all, maybe Aaron Brockovich will be able to answer this question. I'm wondering, you know, how many, if we put this nanofiltration project in place, how many companies could manage that or see that? Obviously, Bossier City just by itself couldn't do it. Then we'd have to hire, contract some company to run this process for us. I'm wondering what companies are certified to be able to do that in the state of Louisiana.
I can
Does,
I can probably come up with a pretty short list.
I mean, you may not even have to have a certification. I don't know, but I'm gonna bet money you gotta have some kind of certification, and I'll bet the list of people that can do it, you probably can count on one hand.
Probably so, or at least the list of people that the City of Bossier will consider doing it because, well, remember, they don't shop around. We got to
So
make a song for that.
yeah, but I need to add some more to this hypothesis here, Rex. I've
Hmm.
got a little bit more. And everybody watching, y'all, please, chime in and, if you know something, put it out there and as well. But I'm wondering as well, I mean, so wouldn't if we took this step, wouldn't that mean that we would lock in, you know, one particular company indefinitely, on public works in Bossier?
Hmm.
Like,
Kind of like those brain-eating amoebas. Once they're in the system, those suckers are really tough to get out of there.
I I don't know. I don't know, and I don't know. I really don't. I mean, they're talking about chlorolamines and all this crap. I don't know. I mean, I know crawfish don't like it. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're
You don't think,
probably
man?
a
Wait a
little
minute.
averse to that.
We did hear a rumor Manshak's been to Plain Dealing.
Yes, we did. I remember
I,
that, and I'm trying to jog my memory. There was
I wonder if
something to
they.
do with water up there, wasn't it? Or
I
was it?
wonder if they've been to the crawfish farm.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Better check
Hmm.
your crawfish. Make
I
sure.
might better go have them. I may have 'em- They may have transferred the amoebas up there or something.
Yeah, go check before the next crawfish boil that you have. Okay, so we'll kind of put a little bow tie around this nano-filtration thing. That here's what we know, folks, is that there is a program from the Department of Health for the state, and at least either the Department of Health just preemptively applied on behalf of the City of Bossier, or somebody from the City of Bossier has applied for this revolving loan, and they specifically mentioned nano-filtration in the document. Now, maybe that's just coincidence for a $30 million loan. Maybe it's not coincidence. We don't know yet, but we're trying to find out.
But according to the councilman we talked to, there's no plans to build anything right now. There's no commitment. All we're doing is studying.
Is
And
studying and closing a loan on May the 23rd of some particular year that we don't really know yet.
we don't know. So another 400,000 next council meeting to keep on studying.
Yeah, well, it's a few 100,000, few million among friends and taxpayers, right?
That's
All
right.
right. So let's switch gears for a little bit. Interestingly, I'm trying to read this post. So this one, I think, must have just shown up. What is? Yeah, today's May the 10th. There was a notice posted for. Let me see if I can click on this. And I don't know why they posted it like this. Apparently, there was supposed to be a meeting today for the Cypress District. Let me switch screens over here again. And I know that's a little small, folks. Bear with me. See if I can zoom it up just a little bit. Anyway, there was notice posted. Wow, might be too big. Yeah, here we go. Notice posted May the 10th, 2021 at 3 p.m. today. The Board of Commissioners will hold a public meeting as follows on Tuesday, May the 11th. Wait, what? Date of meeting, Tuesday, May the 11th.
That's 2021.
No wonder I'm out of it. All right, anyway, they were supposed to have a meeting coming up. Let me go back to my text messages. I am just completely fumbuzzled. Let's see, hold on.
So they were supposed to have this meeting,
Yeah,
and
bail me out here.
apparently we're not going to have the meeting now. They up and decided for some unknown reason to cancel the meeting. And do we know the reason why they decided to cancel the meeting, or is just maybe there was a run on beachfront property at the Cypress District?
Maybe so, but yeah, so now I'm reading their post off their website. It says the announcements, the Board of Commissioners regular monthly meeting for Tuesday, May 10th has been canceled. Our next meeting will be held on Tuesday, June the 14th, 2020. So apparently I guess they're just skipping this month. I wonder why that could be. Wonder if they're having any kind of trouble over there. Or maybe they're just out there trying to get the beach ready. Maybe that's what it is. It's all hands on deck to get the beach opened up.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a motor home or a travel trailer, I guess you're good to go out there. But um, if you want to go to the beach, I don't know. I hear there's dump trucks out there and bulldozers spreading sand. Um, I don't know.
Hmm. Really? Yeah, let's see. They were spreading sand, I guess getting the beach ready to finally open up. There was actually a um, little thread going on. Let me get over to that thread and see if I can actually get us to something that's relatively current. Hold on. Here we go. Let's try this again, Duke. So there was a thread in the Friends of Cypress Black Bayou group, and a friend of mine, Matthew Razor, posted and said, I don't understand why they have the beach closed when it's 90 plus degrees and a holiday weekend, talking about this past weekend and it being pretty warm and Mother's Day and all that. And of course, everybody has chimed in on that. So I think the big thing here, I guess Matt must have called and they said it wouldn't be open till Memorial Day. So here's a question, folks. Does anybody remember when the beach traditionally opens? I mean, is it normal for it to not open until Memorial Day? And what about the primitive camping out there? Are they ever going to open the tent camping? Does anybody know for sure? So, of course, folks are saying, maybe it's water temp, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I don't think anybody has the correct answer.
It's freaking hot out there. I mean,
It is. Water temperature 75 to 85 degrees. While that's not super warm, that's warm enough to at least, have some fun at the beach. Of course, you've got we got somebody here that posted, just don't forget that they don't honor their day pass. You leave, you don't get back in, have to pay again unless they change the rule this year, which I doubt they will. And we talked about that before, where people have had a lot of trouble getting back into the park. Jim Anderson says the water temp out there is 77 degrees. All right. Let's see. And then, of course, I chimed in. Did people want me to get on my soapbox or not? Anyway, so, and Miss Ann Timmer says, all this is such nonsense, but the Louisiana State Attorney will not do anything to help. And so I think we covered it on the show, but there are some issues with the lawsuit or the appeal from the Attorney General's office. And for all intents and purposes, as of right now, they've lost. So Robert Berry, according to the court system, is not dual office holding. Did you know that, Duke?
yeah, I think it is a jurisdiction thing. Now you remember, and I would give credit to Benton. Benton did a number on this one. Remember the police jury meeting where the parish attorney, acting, I guess, on behalf of the DA's office, I don't know. Remember, served the lawsuit. He didn't serve. That sounds so like it was something wrong there, but gave notice at a police jury meeting to Renee Hall that the 26 JDC was going to, or it wasn't a 26 JDC, or it was, the district attorney's office up there was going to file suit against Robert Berry to see if the attorney general of the state of Louisiana was correct or not.
Yes, I do
And
remember that.
now, if the attorney general made a decision that he thought you were dual office holding, and then all of a sudden the DA's office here suddenly decided that, oh, okay, well, we're going to do something about it. Yeah, that's proper for them to have done that. It's also proper for the attorney general to have taken a position. But I will give credit, pretty smart on their part, to get it in the up here in Benton as a state court.
Right.
So they've got the jurisdiction to do it. Well, but then whenever the AG tried to weigh in on it, that was where they had the problem. And if I'm correct, Rex, isn't it that it was ruled basically that the attorney general didn't have standing to be able to, because you had a representative of the state taking the case up? Wasn't
Yes.
that the crux of it?
Yes. And so it was, I don't know, to put it real simply, it was kind of like they would be fighting each other, so to speak, and so why do that? Because the DA's office had, brought the case forward. So, yeah, I mean, right now, the highly paid Caddo Parish law firm is winning the battles. No doubt about it. They're just
And
maneuvering around.
and on an additional point for you folks watching that care, I think one of the appeals court judges that ruled in that case is a Benton resident named one Jeff Thompson,
Jeff
who
Thompson. Wow.
Jeff Jeff Thompson, he sided with I'm just going to say the politicians and not with the people who are getting ran over out here on the lake. So there
Imagine
you
that.
go, everybody.
That. Well, let's see. What's that word? 3 letters. GOB. I'll just leave it at that.
GOB.
Well, speaking of that, so I do have this video published, and it just finished like 5-10 minutes after we started the live show. So I haven't triple and quadruple checked it to make sure I didn't make any editing mistakes. But let me kind of set this up for a minute here. So I guess it was a month or month and a half ago. Renee Hall and her husband David live up on the lake, obviously, and they've been fighting back and forth with the Cypress District. And she wanted to be able to get her side of the story out. She just feels like she's being run over. And I don't want to put any words in Renee's mouth, but she felt that one of the best ways to do that was through video. And so we did a little, I think it was a 2.5-minute excerpt of that video. Like I said, I think it was about a month ago. And I've got pretty much the whole thing done this evening, and I figure we would go ahead and roll that. Now, I want to tell folks that this is, 12 to 15 minutes of video, so it's going to be a little long, so you definitely want to make sure you've got some popcorn. But I would really ask y'all to listen to this, whether you know Renee and David or not, whether you like them or not. What she talks about in here is a lot of the problems that we see going on with the Cypress District, and we see posted over and over on Facebook. So, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start getting this video ready to go, and we'll roll it here in a second. So go ahead, dude.
Well, and I was just going to add on to that and say that, I haven't seen this. I don't know what Renee is going to say, but, I'm confident that almost all of your elected officials that have influence or can influence, the police jury, the Benton Council, the Bossier City Council, levy board, all these folks who appoint somebody to be up there, they all know the stories. They all know what's been going on up there. But they all act like they can't do anything about it. They're content with, landowners like myself, people out here on the lake. In fact, every one of you who pay taxes up here, in my opinion, being abused. I mean, you've got somebody using the park. See, I got to bite my tongue a little bit. I was wanting to go a little further, but they're none of them. I mean, these are unelected bureaucrats. They're not elected. They're appointed by all these people, and they have taxing authority. And if you live on the lake, it's even worse. They're going to come up for more money, probably so they can give Robert Berry another pay raise. I mean, we got to determine either he is the highest paid park director in the country or he's not. But how is that on this little lake that's closed down that arguably for almost half of the year? How is that possible?
Yeah, and so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hit the video, and we're just going to roll through the whole thing. Folks, we will come back after the video. Like I said, it's about 10 or 12 minutes long, but just, kind of listen. Of course, Renee's talking about their lawsuit with the Cypress District, but she's also talking about the way the Cypress District tends to treat people. And again, it's not just her saying it. You can go read the posts on Facebook and go talk to folks and all that. So, with that said, let's go ahead and roll the video. Got your popcorn ready?
Hey, is this the video where the shot across the bow was about us and social media?
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
So, all right. Anyway, with that said, let me see if I hit the right buttons. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Renee Hall. And did you know that since 2015 until the present, the Cypress Lake District Board and their law firm have filed more than 175 lawsuits against the Bossier Parish taxpayers? Well, my husband David and I are one of those lawsuits, and it's been going on for almost 3 years now. And they refuse to settle, and they refuse to try to make things better. And they continue to be abusive and bully the landowners and the Bossier taxpayers. And it's time that the public knows the truth. You know, like the Bible says, the truth shall set you free. And it's time for the truth. It all started back in 2016. You see, my husband and I have lived here for over 30 years. So we kind of know the ins and outs of what you're supposed to do on the lake if you want to add on to your home. So we called the executive director and we called the president at that time and asked them to please come to our home and let us show our plans and find out what we needed to do to get approval. Well, they came over and we showed them the plans and we showed them the stakes, and we were concerned because we thought maybe we were encroaching on their property and wanted to make sure that if we were and we couldn't do that, we made adjustments before we broke ground or, poured the slab. So they came over and the executive director said, oh, we can do a land swap. Now, my husband and I had never heard of a land swap, but he went on to explain, you've got a lot of low ground property here, and this is high ground where it's not in any kind of flowage easement. So what we would do is exchange what you need here on the high ground for part of your property on the low flowage ground. Well, we thought that was a great idea. And so we agreed to that. They looked at our plans. It's the same plans as what we built. And as he was leaving, he said, send your plans to our attorney. Now that surprised me because all the years that I've lived here and we have added on, this is our third time, we were never told to send it to their attorney. We always went over to the board. We showed them our plans. We discussed it. They either gave you a permit or they said, that's fine, go ahead with it. So we moved forward. We sent the plans. We had our surveyor go in and mark and do the legal descriptions on where the slab was. Well, part of the plan had a deck and a pergola. And so when we sent the email to their attorney, their law firm, we mentioned in there is the deck, elevated deck, and the pergola okay? And so they came back and said, we need the description on the slab. So we moved forward. Again, going along with their guidance, asking them what do we need to do. Well, our builder went to get a building permit, and when she went there, they said we have to send this to the executive director and we have to get approval from the Cypress Lake Board before you can get a permit. So it took, I guess, about 2 weeks, but finally they got an email from the executive director stating the board is okay with it. So we got our permit, we started construction, and we moved forward, and everything was fine and it took about 1.5 years to build our add-on. And then as we went to get a mortgage, the mortgage company required an as-built survey. So the surveyors came back out, and in their surveying the actual slab, they found that the legal description was incorrect. So my husband, doing the right thing, like we've been doing, contacted their attorney and said, we need to do a legal description, a change in the legal description, which was part of that. It's called we found out, an act of exchange. So the next thing we know, their lawyer wants to come over and look at our property, comes over and takes pictures, the executive director comes over, and they act like they've never seen the deck or the pergola and start accusing us of being deceitful. And we're like, I don't understand. Well, we find out later that that email that we sent to their attorney was never opened. He never looked at our plans. And yet now we're the deceitful ones. So, I mean, what do? We did everything we were supposed to do. We followed all of their guidance. And now here we are. They said, we're going to bring in our engineer, our surveyor. So they brought in Coil Engineering, which we highly respect. We use them in our development. And they had a new, something like a GPS setting or map that was found from long ago. And so they did a survey, which the board requested, and after getting the survey back, determined that we actually had more property than what our original surveyors determined based on this new GPS or map or whatever. I'm not a surveyor, not an attorney, but it turns out that the corner, and it's this corner right here actually, wasn't even on their property. It turned out it was on our property all along. But the elevated deck and the pergola, parts of them are on the district property. But why is that a problem? There are decks and docks. There's all kinds of structures on your property, but yet they start yelling at us at the meeting, you got to tear it down. You can't have that. You got to tear it down. That's on our property. And all of a sudden, it's like we've done something wrong when we hadn't. So we figured, okay, well, this should be easy to settle, right? Wouldn't you think? It's not like it's a problem. It's not holding any water. We're up on an elevated property. Anyway, it has been a nightmare. And we've done all that we can. We've offered to settle several times. They said we had to pay the survey that Coil did, which we didn't ask for. And so we paid that. It was somewhere around $6,000. And the next thing, I asked for the survey, and I asked for them to come out and mark exactly how much property is on the district property. And I was told that the board would not allow me to have the survey. They won't allow Mr. Coil to come back out and mark to show. So we've got markings outside that will show what we think is the property that they claim we are supposed to tear down. It's very upsetting, and it's been going on a long time and costing us a lot of money, but also it's costing taxpayers money that should not be being spent. There are men over there that are power hungry and vindictive and are trying to make us some kind of example of the power they have, is all I can imagine. But it's just wrong. And I heard that they are doing it to other people also, where the executive director comes in, he tells them they can do something, they do it, and then all of a sudden they've done something wrong. It's a bad pattern, and it needs to stop. What people need to understand is that those commissioners are not voted on by taxpayers of Bossier. They are appointed by 5 bodies. There is the school board, the police jury, the levy board, Benton, the town of Benton, and the City of Bossier. And we have been to the town of Benton and explained to them the abuse of power that is happening, and it fell on deaf ears. I don't understand it. I guess it's that good old boy system that they talk about, because the only thing that we were told is that, oh, our appointee comes from a good family, so he must be doing a good job. Well, I'm sorry. They are not doing a good job. And the public needs to know about it, and especially the appointing boards need to know it is important, the commissioner that you appoint over there, because they are wasting taxpayer dollars and they are abusing the taxpayers of Bossier. You see, that park is funded by Bossier. I think it's somewhere around 85% to 87% of Bossier Parish pays a millage every year. And it's somewhere, I know it's over $1 million, it's probably somewhere around 1.3 million that the park gets. Well, they are wasting the dollars on law fees, on their law firm expenses, on those 175 plus lawsuits. And they're wasting it on very high salaries for their executive director. Reach out to these appointing boards and explain to them that we need change. They get a new opportunity to appoint a new commissioner every 5 years. And so there's a new commissioner that comes on board, or in the case with the Benton City Council, stays and continues to be some kind of enforcer of the district. It's just sad. We've never had this type of governing and ruling before the entire time I've lived here, and I've had a home on this lake since I was 15. My family has been here since there was even water out in that lake. And this is wrong. It's never been like this. People can't enjoy their property because, well, it's called the Gestapo, okay? How would you like to live at a lake where it's run by the Gestapo? It's sad. It's really sad. Another thing that has happened, you see, when you live on the lake, you have to pay a lease because there's a 100-foot setback. That's part of that district property that I was talking about. And part of the lease that you agree to and you pay, for instance, for a dock, I believe it's $350 a year. Part of that is a lease that requires you to maintain the shoreline at the landowner's expense. And that's fine. I understand that, and we have no problem with that. And we have been doing that to our shoreline. Like I said, we've lived here over 30 years. In fact, when the executive director came here in 2016, my husband said, so is it still okay to bring in the dirt and, and the sand and try to protect the shoreline, just like they do over at the park? They do that on the beach. I mean, it gets washed away. You have to bring it in or we're going to lose our land here. So we tried to do that when the water was down, just like we do like every 2 or 3 years. And we brought in dirt. My husband bought a pallet of Sacrete. And just like, I don't know if you're familiar with what used to be Cypress Inn, you come in and you mix the soil with the Sacrete, and then when it rains, it sets up and it holds the ground, the soil. So we were attempting to do that, and we get a call from our attorneys that stated that the attorneys for the Cypress Lake Board have filed a cease and desist order against my husband, and then we find out that they plan to do a restraining order against me and my husband. We were shocked. And the judge didn't even allow our attorneys to go in and show that on our lease, that's a requirement. We're supposed to do that. And so we now have a restraining order against me and my husband. And it's really sad that right before they did this, my husband was admitted as a cancer patient at MD Anderson. Needless to say, we did not need any more on our plate. And they have gone too far. They're heartless, they're vindictive, and someone has got to do something about it. They cannot keep treating good Christian people that do the right thing and ask for guidance, and then continue to be totally transparent and get punished for it. So, I hope that you will consider talking to those boards, and let's get new commissioners. There are good men and women that have stepped up and gone before boards like Benton City Council and asked for the position. And let's just hope that they don't keep getting ignored, because they're good people that live on this lake. There's only one commissioner that lives on this lake. So they don't have the heart and the love for what's going on here. They keep spending more and more money and raising landowner fees, and we have no say in it. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like America. That sounds like somebody's dictating our lives. So I hope that you will speak out, and we would appreciate any help and any support that you can give us. Thank you for listening.
I think that she pretty much summed up what everybody around the lake and those that know what's going on up there pretty much summed up what everybody's thinking and what everybody says, in at least behind the door meetings.
Yeah, and there was a couple of things there that she made me think about, and just living up here on the lake as well. Just the other day, talking about how people that live on the lake, you lease the shoreline and you lease the property to have your pier. You pay money for that, and there's no limit. If you're a landowner on the lake, you're basically a hostage to this Cypress District Board and their executive director, who I'm going to describe in my words as their henchman. And I'll give you an example. I was talking to a landowner up here on the lake. Now, everybody watching, you may not live on the lake, and you probably ain't got no sympathy, and you're like, oh, get the wine and cheese out, these crybabies. But let me give you an example. If this was your property, and this is, how would you feel? So there's a person that has a pier out here, and somebody in a boat came out, and their pier happens to be a pier where you can actually catch some white perch. And no, I'm not going to tell you where it's at. But so this boat comes out here, and Rex, you'll be able to appreciate this. He shoves the nose under this person's dock, under their pier, so that when the wakeboard boats and everybody that's coming around here, his boat won't move up and down with the wave. It'll stay stable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it can beat your boat up too.
Sure.
But he obviously didn't care about his boat, and he didn't care about the pier. But nonetheless, he shoved his nose under the pier, and he was doing it to stabilize his boat. The landowner sees this guy shoving his boat under there, and he can tell that it's ripping the board, off of the pier. He's tearing the pier up. He goes down there and tells him, you need to get your, you can fish all around the pier, but don't touch my pier.
Right.
The guy proceeds to tell him, Robert Berry told me he owns every pier out here on this lake, and I can do anything I want on any of them.
Really?
Yes, sir. Well, the landowner of the pier didn't exactly take too kindly to that, and let's just say the guy in the boat left. And a couple of days later, the guy came back again. I guess he didn't get enough of it, and the guy was doubling down on it, and the fact that Robert Berry owns every pier out here on these lakes, even though all the landowners are, hostage to the Cypress District and the henchmen, and they pay to have that. They pay an extra above and beyond what everybody else pays in their taxes. And, oh, by the way, they've got no say on what if these guys decide to make the fee several $1,000s, or whatever, there's no limit to what they can do because they're not accountable to anybody. Your police jury has no spine to hold these people accountable. Your school board members have no spine to hold their appointee accountable. The City of Bossier city councilmen have no spine to hold theirs accountable, and the levy board as well. All of them, they will say, there ain't nothing we can do. Y'all don't understand. You're just a stupid citizen that doesn't know what the hell you're talking about. There ain't nothing we can do. Well, that's bull crap. And for all of you that don't live on the lake, you're going to have to vote on a renewal for that Cypress District for them to do these antics. You're going to have to vote to renew a tax coming up here in the near future. Mm-hmm. And, it's your money. So when you think it's not your money, that's bullcrap. It's your money that they're pissing away. Rex, what was the last report? They're supposed to keep a fund of money. So everybody in Bossier loves flooding. You love that. They're supposed to keep a nest egg full of money for repairs on the dams, right?
Right. Yeah.
What was it the last time we checked? Wasn't it like at zero?
It was pretty darn close to zero, and they admitted it at their meetings, and they had to do something about it because, well, to quote our good friend Doug Rimmer, they've been robbing Peter to pay Paul, and Paul's broke.
So all y'all down there in Carriage Oaks, and all of you, Flat River, if one of these lakes dams was to fail and they didn't have the money to do the adequate repairs or what have you and all, where do you think all that water's going?
It's rolling downhill. Gonna come right back behind me.
That's your house.
That's right behind me.
You see, you need to get out and vote. Remember Jackwagon.
You brought up an excellent point that I don't think a lot of people realize is that millage is paid by about 80% of Bossier Parish. And even if you're in one of the districts that doesn't actually, or one of the precincts that doesn't actually pay that millage, you go visit businesses that also have to pay that millage, and it always gets passed to the consumer. So by extension, pretty much everybody in Bossier is paying for that park, and that's why we stay on it. Look, I don't have a house up there. I don't have a camp up there. Yeah, Renee and David and I met through the Friends of Cypress Black Bayou group and all that. And you and I, of course, have been friends for many years. You live up there, and I've got some other friends that live up there. But I don't live on the lake. But I can just see what's going on. And like we've said, since basically we started the show, that situation at the Cypress District is a little microcosm, a little nano situation of the bigger picture for the Good Old Boys Network in Bossier City and Bossier Parish. And it's on full display with that Cypress District. And you're right, the police jury, nothing. Bossier City Council, nothing. I've been to the Benton Town Council meetings. They refused to do anything about it, even when they had somebody else for the position to appoint. They still chose to keep the same guy there that obviously has a problem with women. So I'll just leave it at that.
And oh, by the way, and this will be a kudos to, Dodie Horton, when one legislator takes the initiative to listen to the people that live in the district up here that have, had complaints. The Cypress District won't listen to the complaints. They will hardly even let you talk at a Cypress meeting. If you have a complaint, you can hardly even get a word in. But she actually listened to the constituents and took action on behalf of the constituents. And what did the government agencies do? Oh, they used your tax dollars to go hire a lobbyist to fight the only legislator that jumped up to try to do something on your behalf. They jumped up, used your tax dollars to fight her. Right. That's what they did, to fight her. Period. To cut your throat. Yeah. That's what they did.
And hey, it worked because it watered down the bill. I mean, yes, some legislation got passed, but it definitely watered down that bill because they didn't just hire any lobbyists. They literally hired a lobbyist that is on a cell phone call and the governor picks up basis, type deal. So Folks,
So
that's why we stay on the Cypress District so much. It's not, again, it's not because I live up there. It's because I see what's going on.
in my opinion, and there's a lot of other things we could share, but not at this time, it is the most egregious, of abuses of government that in Northwest Louisiana, I would argue the worst is right here in the Cypress District. And it begs the question, why will members of the police jury, why will members of these government bodies that appoint these individuals to these boards, why will they not support, the constituents out here that want something changed? Everybody up here, we want the park. We want it to be functional. We want it to be a positive reflection, of our community. We want it to be a place for people to escape and to be able to come and enjoy the lakes. But, at the expense of what? What is the limit? Obviously, your elected officials on the police jury, school board, levy board, City of Bossier, obviously they don't give a damn about 83% of y'all in the whole parish and your tax dollars up here. They don't care. The only thing they care about is to not hear anything about it. But it begs the question, why?
Yeah.
Why will they not do anything about it?
Including,
we've got some ideas.
Yeah, including some police jurymen who literally campaigned on this very issue and said one thing and did an about face. We got a comment here from Paul Johnson. Really a question. Says, just what is the salary for the director of the Cypress board? I hadn't got the financials recently, but he makes somewhere between $120,000 to $150,000 a year. I think if I remember right, it was last year he bumped closer to $150,000 because he was owed some salary from the past couple of years or something. I don't remember the whole shenanigan deal that they pulled and tried to use to explain that, but somewhere in that. So he's paid quite a bit of money, and he's got some other perks and benefits as well.
Yeah. So Rex, we've showed in the past, like Doug Rimmer. Doug Rimmer said, and I have it on tape and we can play it or what have you. He says, and I think we showed it on one of our shows, for example, people get all mad when we start talking about individual people. You talked about Philip Rogers right there. Mm-hmm. He ran on it. It was an issue. He ran on it, told all of y'all he would do something about it. He completely flipped. And a lot of people like Philip. Right. I like Philip. I'm not gonna say I don't like him, but I liked him. I don't like him as much, seeing how he's done up here, because in my opinion, he's disregarded the people in his district up here and the taxpayers on the issue. But Doug Rimmer said, if I'd have ever got if I'd have ever got his resignation, I would have accepted it. And he's the one that made the second on the motion to not accept, his Robert Berry's resignation.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's the guy that made the motion.
Yeah.
Or the second.
And look, I say this coming from, I helped Philip with his campaign for police jury. We rode around for hours in his truck, shot videos and the whole 9 yards. And look, personally, Philip's a nice guy. It's not that. I don't think he wakes up every morning trying to figure out how he can be an evil politician or something like that. But the conversations we had certainly are not what he appears to be thinking now as far as the Cypress District is concerned. We'll just put it that. And so, yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I don't make any bones about that. We had a few words back, I think it was about a year ago at one of the meetings up there in Benton. We had a nice little tit for tat going there. But anyway, so folks, here's the main deal.
But Rex, it's like they all just want to get along. We cannot. Juliana Parks in the text we showed. No way am I going to criticize one of my cohorts. Right. She didn't say cohorts, but she did say cohorts about us in the past. Mm-hmm. But no way will she criticize. You know what? Look at Bossier City. Look at Chris Smith and Brian Hammonds. They're being critical and openly debating in city council meetings, and it's being productive. The public is getting insight into how the business is being conducted, and they're having the debate in the public eye, but you've got people just like Philip, as soon as he can be critical to get in there, but once he gets in there, we can't be critical anymore. We're not going to have a public debate. It's all whatever we got to all do to get along. You need more of that.
Yeah.
You need more of that. Tom Salzer, a hat tip to you, on kind of standing your ground on the Jimmy Davis bridge thing down there. Just because you do have, criticize each other's ideas and you do have some debate on these issues in the public for everybody to see and put those differences out there. I mean, that's what people want. I mean, let the best ideas win in debate. That's what it's about. It doesn't mean you got to hate each other at the end of the day. And I would argue that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to force the debate on a lot of these issues because they don't want to do it. And they don't want to do it in the public. We shouldn't have to be doing that.
100% correct. That's the purpose of the show. And for those of you that are watching, and we appreciate, we got about 50, nearly 60 people watching. We appreciate each and every one of you, especially those of you that watch week to week. But we get a lot of new viewers and all that. We know a lot of government officials watch, or they'll watch later, or they'll have other people watch, and all that good stuff. We're asking the questions that the rest of them, I don't know, flat out refuse to ask, or talking about the issues that they refuse to talk about. So we got a comment here, so let me put it up here. David Jones says, Rex, how do you open all comments? Not really sure what you mean, David, so kind of clear that up. Jim Anderson says, Philip is a developer that worries me. Barry Butler says, I think District 5 runs up to the south edge of Black Bayou. And then Paul Johnson says, and I'm sure that position, talking about executive director, is in the state retirement system. $12,000 plus a month in pay will turn into a $10,000 a month retirement for life. Now, that's an interesting comment, Paul. Honestly, all the digging I've done, I haven't been able to ascertain whether there's any kind of retirement plan for the executive director for Robert Berry. I have heard that there is no retirement, or at least that's one of the things that is pushed forward when anybody mentions his salaries. Oh, well, he doesn't have a retirement plan through the Cypress District. So honestly, I don't know if that is true or not, but we'll try to determine that before too much longer. All right, Mr. Lowry.
David Jones.
Let me put that up there. Hell, Duke, we learned to get along while disagreeing. Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to go, be best
That's
buddies
right.
and go fishing together after the meetings. Look, it's like I completely disagree with Philip Rogers over, the stuff that he's doing now at the police jury, especially concerning the Cypress District. Doesn't mean that I hate Philip. Does that mean I'm going to be nice to Philip and, offer him to go fishing? No, not necessarily, because we're going to have a conversation about politics. But
yeah, David Jones was an example. He argued when he was on the council. He argued and he fought. He thought and he said what he thought. I mean, that was the deal. And hell, I've argued with David probably as much as I've agreed with him. I mean, but at the end of the day, we're still friends and will be. But you got to be able to do that. But I see that lacking in government, especially. There's still this clinging to the GOB network. And what blows my mind is there's a lot of people that aren't originally here from the GOB network. They're not. But man, they sure can get that Kool-Aid and get in there quick. I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
Doesn't take long, does it? All right. What else do we have to talk about tonight?
I don't know. I would say I wonder, everybody watching, everybody seems to be engaged a little bit. They understand the problems at the Cypress District. I'm curious what everybody thinks. What would be the ideal structure, for the Cypress District in the park? I mean, should it be elected positions? I mean, as it is right now, there's no representation for landowners that live on the lake. I mean, as a landowner, I can tell you that rubs me wrong, that there's nobody that can speak up as a commissioner on behalf of the landowners. I think there should be. I mean, should they be elected? Should it be elected positions? If they have the ability to tax, the jurisdiction, shouldn't the taxpayers have the ability to, elect those people?
I couldn't disagree with you there. I pretty much think the vast majority of government positions should be electable or should have an election, or a ballot. But here's the thing to remember as well: you got to have somebody to run. But one of the things that the police jury whines about, and the Benton Town Council, even though there was another person that was willing to step up and be appointed, one of the things the City of Bossier whines about, well, nobody else steps forward, and so we just keep reappointing these people. And there is some truth to that. So I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute. So if we're somehow to get legislation passed to make those elected positions and not bureaucratic appointed positions, we got to have somebody willing to step up to the plate and qualify and run for those positions. And that presents a challenge too. Look, and I'm just as guilty as anybody. The Cypress District meetings, they probably didn't have it because they were tired of listening to crickets chirping up there.
Look, and look, just like that meeting you're talking about at the Benton Town Council, Gary White might be a fine individual, but he went up there, and I remember it vividly because it jumped out at me. He said, because one of the councilmen up there asked a question about, hiring the consultant or whatever. And he said, well, we met and decided that was the best thing, or we decided that was the best thing. We, meaning the other commissioners. Well, here, newsflash, they never had a meeting.
Right.
Remember?
They just did it.
There was never no minutes. They just did it. So the public, you, the taxpayers, never had the ability to have any input, period.
Right.
You didn't have and speaking of people running for office, like right now, there's some elections coming up in the fall. You know what they are, Rex?
Honestly, I don't tonight.
School board.
Oh.
The next significant thing is school board races. There's, I think it's this fall. But if you're a person that potentially, if you found the actions on the COVID, madness egregious, and you thought that it was wrong, and you're interested in running to be on the school board to, make a change, you need to be thinking about that now. You need to be finding out where your district is, and because I can tell you, the majority of the people that are in those districts, that are already there, they know that they're running. But if you're thinking about running, you need to be laying the foundation and working now.
Yeah.
Regular people don't think that much about it, but
or look, maybe your particular hot button issue, if you're watching, is the Cypress District because you live up there, own property or whatever up there. Then you need to be thinking about the elected positions that are coming up with the school board and whatever else may be coming up. And you need to start pushing people who are either going to be running for re-election or new people that may be coming in to run for those positions. You need to be pushing them on this Cypress issue. Make that your issue. It's like with me, everything's about the Second Amendment to me. And that's the first question I ask people. If you're really concerned about the problems going on in the Cypress District, that needs to be your hot button issue, and make it well known. Let's see here. We got a good comment here. Miss Ann Price. Hello, Miss Ann. She says, I bet Renee or David would run. They might. I think they would be great at it. Bryn Monica says, I nominate my husband, Andy Monica, for the levy board appointee this June. He would love to be the lake owner's rep. I second that. Andy Monica would be an excellent Cypress District commissioner and an appointee for the levy board. And apparently that is coming up in June. Thanks for reminding us of that.
Apparently, it booted me out.
Uh-oh, I saw you come in. I was like, wait. Duke's coming in again. He's already here. We're going to have Duke on twice.
Yeah, I can't think of that corny saying that, the hot line touched the ground line.
Yeah, and the sparks flew. All right. So, what else tonight?
I think that's it. Hey, everybody, you need to watch 2,000 Mules. I mean...
Oh, yeah. So, do you have a link somewhere? Have you shared a link out on your Facebook timeline on where to watch this?
Look, I did. This is the weirdest thing. I did share some of that on Facebook, and they didn't, block it out. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
You know, like if I share anything political, like nobody sees it. I barely even get a like. But you know, I can share a picture of me out in a bikini on the beach, and freaking everybody sees it or something. No, there's none of those pictures out there. God, I hope not.
I hope not too.
But but yeah, Facebook wasn't like neutering it. I couldn't get it. But admittedly, I've been on Twitter since the Elon thing. I just can't. I'm addicted to Twitter now for some
Really?
reason. I don't. Yes,
I've had a
love it.
Twitter account forever. I rarely use it, but every now and then I'll see what Elon tweets, and then there's some tech stuff I follow. I guess I'm going to have to pay more attention to Twitter again. Very interesting.
Mark Smith says 47 question mark.
Interesting. And we hadn't seen mysterious Mark Smith in a while. Former amigo Shane Cheatham says, shameless plug tomorrow 12 to 1. That's South Bossier Luncheon that we actually talked about at the beginning of the show, Shane. Bel Air South Complex, Brian Hammonds, Chris Smith, and Tom Salser will be the guest speakers. So if you're around that area tomorrow, go get you a good lunch, and should be interesting, and may have to show up to that luncheon.
Hey, and Kara says interest rates 5.125, Acadiana Mortgage.
That's that logo. Let's see if I point way over there in that corner.
Yeah, if you're buying, I mean, these interest rates are doing some crazy stuff. Y'all better be on top of your game.
Yeah, I heard, now correct me if I'm wrong, that they're supposed to start, aren't the Feds supposed to start creeping up the rates and all that?
Good gosh, who knows? They did a 0.5% just here the other day, and I'm hearing they're talking about another 0.5%. So there's no telling where we're going to end up here. All I know is that we ain't got baby food on the shelves, but yet we can send however many billions of what was it, 30-40 billion dollars to Ukraine, but we can't get baby food on the shelves here.
Somebody's priorities are out of whack.
I don't know. 2,000 mules, you can figure it out right there.
I'm going to go start Googling and find me a good link for 2,000 mules. All right, folks, we appreciate everybody watching. We're still at, basically nearly 60 folks, an hour and a half into it. We thought we weren't going to have a lot to talk about tonight, but we did. And, of course, we got some more into the Cypress District. Y'all know the deal. If you got some information you want to share, make your Proton Mail account. Make it anonymous. Don't put any identifying information. Send it to Bossier Watch at Proton Mail. We will take a look at it. Go check out our website. I've got the Facebook videos and the YouTube versions as well embedded on the site. If you want to donate us a little coffee money, there's a donation button there. We appreciate it. If not, we're still going to keep talking about the political stuff around here, just like always.
See you later, Rex. See you later, everybody.
Adios, amigo.